Welcome again to another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. I am your host, Lionel McDonald. So, a lot of hype and a lot of, I guess, excitement overall. And it's really great to see about another shoe of the Jordan family. Probably, in my opinion, the most underrated shoe of the entire collection. This of the the early models is kind of literally the black sheep of the family, the one that just doesn't get any love. But before we get started, gonna bring back a little piece of the pod that I've done very in the very early. We've already we've recorded over 100 episodes, and there will be a celebration episode in the very near future. But we're just going to continue to grind and keep it moving. But today I'm going to, as I used to call out, apparel brand or a brand. And, today I'm going to go back to that. It's going to be one of the things that we do in 2023, particularly when I do my own, kind of individual podcast without a guest. So today's brand that we're going to call out is none other than, and love them to pieces. They've done great works. Hopefully my daughter gets to be part of the next camp. But what has been done over the last few years, particularly the last two, and really highlighted by the tournament that they ran last year is none other than Hoop Queen. So Kessa and obviously Megan, Yuri Young, hats off to you ladies. Bravo. Just some amazing things you're doing for young ladies that truly love basketball in the city of Toronto. It's amazing what you've done, in having the first paid league for women. And I think that, that it will only grow in 2023, but wearing the orange hoodie, much very similar to the WNBA when they hit 25 and, basketball, and you can see I'm wearing my WNBA orange hat to kind of coordinate, but women's basketball is really taken off, and for good reason. There's more support than ever. There's more young ladies playing basketball, and it's a pretty amazing thing to see. And I have a young daughter, she's 7, and she's just gone through her first camp and excited for more lessons and more learning. But I think the skills that we learn, life skills, I think from sports and from camps, is pretty amazing. So hats off to Hoop Queens, that's the brand that we're going to celebrate today as we get into, some may call it the stepson of Jordan retros. It's not a 3, it's not a 4, it's not a 1, it's not an 11. But December 30th, they brought it back, and Sean, otherwise known as Scholar on Instagram, and my boy Dudley, I'm going to call those two guys out specifically because of the love of none other than the Jordan 2 Chicago. So the Jordan 2, this is my dead stock pair that I have from '04. It's just like the one that just released. The material is probably a little bit better on the one that currently came out, but it's so great to have this shoe back out on the market. So for those that don't know, this is the second shoe that of the Jordan line that Jordan wore. It first made its debut. There's a white and red colorway, and then ultimately there's this one, which is probably by far the most popular. Came out in '96. There was a couple other colors that came along with it. And really it kind of was carried through the 2000 or the 1986-87 season. It's crazy to believe that this shoe was only $105. Retail in 2022, this shoe is $260. So times have changed, and a lot of things have changed, but what is great is about the Jordan 2 is that it's back, and there is actually some love. The brand is putting some energy. There's like over 10 highs and lows that come out in 2023. We saw a trickle effect of that in 2022 as they kind of tried to tie 22 with the Jordan 2. We did see some great pairs that did come out. We had the off-white pairs, which were extremely hard to get. It's, someone wants to buy me a pair, I would take a pair of those in a second. White, black, doesn't matter. You need to buy it for my birthday. I have a big birthday coming up in the next year. Someone wants to buy me a pair, go right ahead. But all joking aside, the Jordan 2, again, as it debuted in 96, Jordan had an unbelievable rookie season. And what's unique about this one, it's so stylish, it's so different. And this is the where they put the Wings logo front and center on the tongue. But also with this, the materials were different with the original. This one was actually made in Italy. The leather was from Italy. The original molds of the shoe, for all we know, had been either destroyed or lost. But it's such a unique shoe. It looks different than any other shoe. There's no swoosh on the shoe. We know that obviously, there's many people that have had hands in building the shoe. We know this shoe in particular, Bruce Kilgore and Peter Moore were the ones that that kind of created this mastermind of a sneaker. But that is the history of this. It hasn't retro that many times. So it came out again in 94, 95, and people didn't really love it. It came out in a KO version, and I think that was really what, for many people, it totally killed the shoe. They tried to make a new reiteration of this version of the shoe, and it just didn't hit. It just didn't resonate and gravitate with people. But there is a certain community and a certain type of sneaker fan or sneaker love that loves a shoe. So I remember, when I was just kind of getting going in collecting sneakers, and I'd probably been at it now for about 8 years, as I kind of started in 95, 96 when I started my retail journey. But this particular shoe, when I thought about, collecting maybe one of every model, I think that's where I had the brainchild. My first shoe, as many have heard on this podcast, was the Jordan 11 Bred. And then the 12 came out, the playoff 12. That was the next one. Then I had the white and red 13, and then I end up getting a few colors, and then 14. And then they started retroing shoes by the time we got to 14. So all of a sudden, 4s returned. 3s eventually returned, 2s eventually returned, the 5 returned in 2000. So now there was this thought and idea, so maybe I can get one of every model. Like, we're at like 16 or 17, and here we are in 2004 is when this one re-released. Now there's a black and chrome, which I do love. Not showing it today because it's falling apart, sadly. And again, for those that are watching on YouTube, you can obviously watch it there when this is uploaded, but you also can listen to on directly on Spotify, on Google, and obviously on Apple, which most people, the feedback that I get and some of the statistics tell me that that's where people are listening. So this was such a special shoe to have. This one, it fits so different and it doesn't fit like a 3, not a 4, not a 1. It fits like a 2 and a 2 only. So this one is one that is very near and dear to my heart. And what then kind of transpired was this shoe really wasn't that available after a certain period of time. So it became extremely hard to find the shoe. So here's the original colorway. We call it the Chicago. It came in a low, which I also do have. The low looks totally different than this. The way that it's cut, the way that they added the red, the big heel bumper, it just looks differently. And I think when you look at the shoe in hindsight, they actually look very similar, but it's the red piping on the low and the black piping on the high or the mid, whether you want to call it, makes the shoe look totally different. But you can see that the leather in that looks a lot different. And then there's the white and red version, which I don't have in front of me, but it's amongst the archives. So those are kind of the three original colors. They all kind of did retro from 2004 and on from there. Again, the price tag wasn't that high. It was between 100 and $105 US. It wasn't crazy here in Canada. And then they started to roll out some of the other ones, as time, went on. We got the infrared one, which was I wasn't a fan. Like, I couldn't get my head around that it had this speckle. It wasn't a clean color, and I definitely passed on it. Do I wish I had it now? Nah, because I love twos now so much. Probably I would want it to be part of the archives. I also think about the Just Dawn one. It was a heavy price tag, and Dust John was just on an incredible run with some of the things that he was doing in Chicago. So now that was definitely one that I didn't look at, or I definitely passed on. But I think, you think of the crown jewel of all of them, and again, there's certain people that love the shoe and others that don't. And one of the guys in globally that loves the Jordan 2, and he specifically asked, along with the Jordan 4, to have one done as he started to work with Nike, was Eminem. And the Eminem 2 is, I believe, is the most valuable Jordan 2 that's available. There's extremely limited, and really hard to find. But then, fast forward, a few years go by, and we're in that era of the kind of the changing of the guard of the NBA. We had Michael in the 90s, we had Kobe and Shaq make their run in the early 2000s, and then Kobe wins a ring, a couple of rings later in 08 and 10, and then Shaq won prior to that one in Miami after he left. But we had a change in the guard. So all of a sudden we had Wade, and we had Carmelo, and we had obviously LeBron and Chris Bosh, and some of the other great players that were part of that 04 draft class. But what was very unique is another guy, Carmelo Anthony, that loves the Jordan 2. They made a special Denver Nuggets version of the Jordan 2, and I think this is one of the cleanest one. It did get retroed a few years ago, but I hold this one so near and dear. For many that know me, Carmelo Anthony is one of my favorite players of all time. And yeah, to have this one, I had the white Nuggets jersey that I rock with this. Pretty special shoe to me. And yeah, the Jordan 2, now there's the OGs. There's this, and that one really resonated with me, as I'm a huge Carmelo Anthony fan. It's crazy to believe right now this dude is not in the league. He did so much to help, not only Portland in years past and the last few years, but then obviously he came to the Lakers. And was things perfect? No. Are things perfect with the Lakers? No. Could they use the scoring? Yes, but he's not in the league and not on that team. So I think if we start to talk about, I've kind of already showed probably three of my favorite Jordan 2s, and I think then we also then think about some of the other crazy or unique reiterations of this shoe. So I did mention before they did the off-white black. I think it was earlier in 22. They did an off-white white, which were pretty amazing. You think of some of the other ones. There was the 218, the kind of the Chicago one. There's the Chicago or Detroit version, excuse me. And that really resonated with a lot of people that they really did something for Detroit. And the premium colors and textures to that shoe are second to none. Then there was the Titan one that they did also in 22. They've done some ladies ones. As I mentioned, there was a ton of Jordan 2s on the way. So there's a lot to get excited about when we talk about the Jordan 2. There was the alternate 87, that black with the red. That's a regret. That was an easy, should have just got it, just didn't, had other things. There's a beautiful Jordan 2 that they've done in multicolors called the Jordan Rivals. That is definitely one of the best looking twos that they've ever made. The Kawhi 54 2 is another one that's premium. There's obviously the UNC 2 low. I wish I had that because I love the Jordan 2 low, almost as I love the high. And I believe that's definitely one that I wish I had in my collection, but I do not. There's the Radio Raheem, which I wish I could have got my hands on. There's obviously the Nightshade, which we've talked about. There was the University Red or Gym Red. Two, there's the Iron Purple. Wasn't a big fan of that one, but the University Blue is one that I absolutely love. And I think if I was doing a top five, that might have been the one that was six. So that one definitely I hold in a high regard. And then like they did a cool thing with the Jordan 2. So this University Blue was also part of a pack. It was called the Candy Pack, and there was a bright yellow one. So it looks so different than any other Jordan 2. Then there's the Dornbecker Peacock Jordan 2. So there's a lot of Jordan 2s that are out in the market. But again, you know, as I've said, there's the Wing It Jordan 2. The Jordan 2 doesn't get the love that it probably should. And hopefully with more being on the market, some really clean colorways, particularly in the summer months, that the Jordan 2 continues to get traction. I think there's even debates now, you know, is the Jordan 2 a shoe that should be getting more love than it should right now? Or you know, it debuted in 86, and you know, I think there's some things that they did to really not hype up the shoe, and you know, I think ultimately there's going to be an opportunity for this shoe to really hit the ground running again in 23, and really transcend some big opportunities. But it's also great to see, you know, that this shoe wasn't the one, and everyone thinks of the one as the first one. Then we had the dramatic change with Tinker Hatfield, you know, taking the ball and running with it, and creating the Jordan 3 premium materials, the iconic elephant print that's on the shoe. So yeah, you know, there's the deconstruct Jordan 2s, but again, so many of these did not hit despite the effort that was put in with the shoe to make it look premium, to make it look special. You know, some people have called it, you know, it's the ugly stepchild, it's the black sheep of Jordan 2s, but there's a lot of people, there's a lot of hate. There's some people that are coming around on the Jordan 2, but it is a shoe that I absolutely think is one of the most underrated shoes. And I think in 23, we're going to see a love affair. So as I recap, you know, I shared, hey, the one I got in my lap here, didn't get a chance to talk about this one yet, but this one, when you think about Black history, colorways, representation of the Black community, this shoe may be the one that captures it the best. When this is the Jordan 2 Black History Month, this is top 3 Jordan 2s for me. I think if I were to look, you know, what I got on the floor, obviously I have to say the OG, you know, the Mellow, and probably this one. And then there's obviously, you know, maybe the one of the shoes that kind of put the Jordan 2 back in the forefront is the AM Emma Manier Jordan 2 that came out in recent times. So if you really think about this shoe, the Ama Manier, you know, they've obviously done some great things with Jordan 1, 2, 3, and 4, not in that order. I think 3 was first, 1 was second, 2 was 3, and then most recently the 4. So thinking about what they've done with the Ama Manier line, and there's a great 12 coming out. I'm sure there's a couple other surprises that are coming. But I think when we think about my top 3, you know, and I wouldn't say it's because of the black shoe, and it's really actually the only, you know, of the Jordan 2s outside the chrome, the Black History Month is the one that kind of really resonates with me the most, along with obviously the Chicago, which is this. And then because of my love for Carmelo and his early days, again, I'd still tell you all that he got robbed in his rookie season of the 03-04 rookie season when LeBron, He had better stats. Took his team to the playoffs. They won a round. Carmelo should have been, and I know the playoffs don't matter, so don't kill me in the comments. But I really think that in many regards, in many perspectives, it's so easy to say that Carmelo could have been the rookie of the year. But same time, the Jordan 2 is one of the cleanest ones. And for those that love the 2, if you didn't get it, you wish you had it. So those are my thoughts on the 2. It's great that it's back. There was a lot of energy. It kind of had its time in 22 at the end of the year. And it's really special that now this is coming full circle, and the brand wants to put the shoe on the pedestal. And hey, give it some love. It hasn't gotten the love, or I would even say the respect that it probably deserves, of being one of the second Jordan model of the line that's been out, because there's definitely love for the 5, and the 4 is now like the new 1, and then no one can say anything bad about the 3. And then there's definitely fans of the 6 and the 7, and then you kind of get into 8 and some of the other ones where it starts to drop off a little bit, but then it goes into outer space when you get to the Jordan 11, and then you also then think about the 12, the 13, and then it kind of teeters off. But I'm one also that holds on to the Jordan 14. It's still one of my favorite encore basketball shoes that there's out there. So that's my rant. That's my love, my call it my soliloquy to the world about my love for the Jordan 2, and I'm glad it's back. I hope people get a chance to buy one, enjoy it. Like, I have more than enough Jordan 2s that I don't need another one, but there's some great things that are coming out there that the world can see and the world can get involved in and enjoy, and go take some time. There's lots of things on good old Google that you could, look at the history and see what happened. And, you talk about, the guys that actually produced the shoe. That's like the last shoe that they ever really put together for Nike, right? These guys were dismissed as soon as that was gone, because one of the things that was unique about it didn't have a Jordan logo. It just had the Wings logo on it. So things happen, but things are now still iconic. And Kilgore is more recognized, obviously, for what he did with the Air Force One, for those that didn't know. But the Jordan 2 still should be held in a high regard when we talk about sneakers. And I think it's never going to be the 1 or the 4, and it doesn't, or the 3 or the 11, and it doesn't need to be. But it definitely needs its respect and its love, called the Jordan 2. So thank you everyone for listening. Again, you can find Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life both on Google. You can find it on Spotify. You can definitely find it on Apple. This will be uploaded, so you can find it on YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcast from, you can find it there too. But again, Lionel McDonald, another episode of Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. Shout out to the ladies of Hoop Queens. Continue to do great things. We love you. We have mad respect and much respect of what you're doing right now. So thank you for your time. Appreciate y'all listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. So thank you very much. Peace.